Hello and welcome to the Unofficial Controller Podcast, your weekly gaming podcast, episode 129. What you been playing? With me, George, as always, joined by Tom. All the gifts to all the socks from Mumsy. Thank you. How's it going?
You should be grateful for your coal and orange and socks and pants.
That's my gift list surmised from you.
It is, yeah, literally just that.
You conspicuous by your absence at Christmas. Where were you?
I was away.
Where?
In the chateau, doing some skiing, supping some hot chocolate, some whiskies.
Supporting Andrew's family in their skiing holiday.
Oh, Lord Andrew.
Prince Andrew.
I didn't think we used that name for him anymore.
We just call him Andy.
Andy.
Yeah, stripped of all raw titles. You never know. I might be first in line now.
We're going to be in hot water for this show straight away.
One can only hope we'll get viral on Twitter because someone said Andrew. Do you know?
Absolutely.
We're playing with fire.
We are.
So,
Happy 2022.
Thank you. Let it wash in the way 2020 and 2021 washed in. Happy days. Games, delays, craziness. We see this episode as being a back to school, bragging in the playground. Look what I got. What did you get? Oh, okay. I got this and you got that, and my system's better than your system. Put you in headlock and throw you down the stairs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Much, yeah.
All right. Let's hype it up. With that, I probably feel we should head straight into the news, seeing as this whole show's called What You've Been Playing. The balance is restored. It's time for the news to scour the very darkest regions of the internet to bring you the latest stories. First up, I
read this one. It's real good.
Okay. Do you want to read it out?
Yeah, I think it's nothing groundbreaking, but it's an interesting tidbit. But that was my homework. Obviously, the up-and-coming fantasy RPG has the extraordinary art direction we've become accustomed to from the Dark Souls developer. But in terms of pure technical clout, it looks like dated next to the outstanding PlayStation 5 remake of Demon Souls. Elden Ring director Hidetaka Miyazaki has acknowledged in an interview with Edge magazine, as transcribed by Video Game Column, "I'm pretty sure our graphics creation staff felt a lot more pressure than anyone else." He said when asked about Demon Souls fidelity, he said, "Graphical fidelity is not something we put as the top priority. What we ask for on the graphics side depends on the systems and requirements of the game itself, and it takes less priority compared to the other elements of development." He elaborated, "This is always in an area where I feel a bit apologetic towards my graphics team because I know they work extremely hard and have worked very hard on Elden Ring. Our graphic systems team and our programmers have been pushing a lot of new features to create the best looking game we've ever made. It's worth remembering that Elden Ring, though, is a cross-gen multi-platform game, whereas Demon Souls was remade exclusively for the PS5. Furthermore, From Software's latest adopts more of an open world structure, whereas Bluepoint Games' remake is based on a title with a much smaller overall scope, allowing it to push the hardware harder." Miyazaki went on to explain that he hasn't played the Demon Souls remake because he doesn't enjoy playing through games I've made in the past. He said, "It was a rough game back in the day with a relatively rough development, so I was anxious that new players would not enjoy it in that same way. In the end, I'm just happy to see the reaction and happy to see people enjoying it."
I mean, what I've seen of Elden Ring looks, nice. I mean, it probably doesn't compare a bit to Demon Souls like for like, but they're two very different games.
Much smaller game. More of I wouldn't call Demon Souls a linear experience. I've played and finished it and really enjoyed it, but from the look of Elden Ring, I didn't get to play the network test, but I've watched a lot of playthroughs of that network test, and it reminded me very much of Breath of the Wild's Great Plateau area, that this is just a taster of what's to come, and wow, I am hyped for Elden Ring. Art direction over graphical fidelity any day of the week. I just think it adds so much more. Like, I've watched this Unreal Engine 5 footage of the Matrix, really impressed with it, looks amazing. But if you haven't got like an art style or art direction to go with that, it's very difficult sometimes, because if you go for ultra realistic, like you were saying about some of like Neo's face and I can't remember the female character's name, Carol Moss, Trinity. It just takes you out. If you go for ultra realism, tiny little things can take you out. Whereas if you have a small like an art direction that is stylized, it's very easy to draw you into the world. And I'm impressed by Elden Ring's animations, particularly on the bosses, and just the overall look of the game and design. There's nothing else really like it.
I think that's a solid point. You know, we've been chasing photorealism for so long in games, but even now, you just need one nuance in a face, and you're like,
Yeah. I will admit, like, when I first turned on Demon's Souls on the PS5, I was blown away, and it was one of the only titles really that I've played on there where I put it on, I was walking through this small sort of ruined area, and I was like, wow, I even sent you a picture, I think, on launch. I was like, wow, this looks like something different, like something that isn't possible on the old consoles. Whether it would have been, I don't know, but it's early days for next gen, so I'm going to give them a bit of leeway. But I was really impressed with that. I can see, I did actually get that vibe when I watched the first gameplay of Elden Ring. I was like, oh, doesn't look that good. But because your eyes have been used to playing Demon's Souls.
No, well, I counter that. I mean, Elden Ring's probably not my cup of tea, but I did think, wow, for an open world, go anywhere, do what you want, break it in multiple different ways from a player angle.
I think if you look how big of the world it's going to be, hopefully it's. I don't think people should expect a sort of Skyrim or Breath of the Wild sized area. I don't know whether it'll be that big, but it certainly looks a lot bigger than anything they've put out before. But I'm really excited to see that.
Okay, well.
And also, I got that pre-ordered. I've actually pre-ordered a couple of games. I said, I know we talk about we shouldn't pre-order because we never know where it's going to be finalised, but I feel Elden Ring and Horizon Forbidden West are going to be solid titles regardless. They might not be Game of the Years, they could be, who knows, but I feel like I'm really looking forward to them, so got both pre-ordered.
One thing you should know if you listen to this show for any length of time is Tom says one thing, but he does something completely different.
Yeah, I'm a spur of the moment type of guy.
Next bit of news, 00 Double Down. How incredible would this be as a way to kick off 2022? It looks like GoldenEye 007 is on the way to Xbox. True Achievements has picked up a new achievement list for the game. 55 achievements for 1,000 gamer score. Some of the achievement images even appear to have leaked, as you can see in the tweets from user Wario64. Based on what we can see in the screenshots, the new version appears to be based on the original N64 release rather than the cancelled Xbox 360 remake, which resurfaced, I think, last year. And True Achievements has pointed out the achievement list is different to that game as well. Are we ready? Without ruining what's coming up in the feature, I've been sporadically playing GoldenEye and N64, and once you've adjusted to the old controls...
You've been playing it?
On N64.
Okay. Recent, like over Christmas?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just a bit of multiplayer and a bit of play. We forget the twin sticks and how that's changed shooting games. Obviously, this is more GoldenEye, the original. Why is it such a shock to you? I've been playing an old console.
I was just going to bring up a point of, like, I'm really pleased that's going to be available on Xbox, but genuinely, who is going to want to play that? I'm sure there will be people, I just don't see it, because in my head, I find it really difficult to grasp that someone would want to play through that again when you've got a wealth of some of the best first-person shooters available.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Do you like video games, podcasts, and reminiscing? I'm actor, video game writer, and total sweetie pie Connor Savage McCabe, and on each episode of Call Me By Your Game, I sit down with a guest for an intimate look at a special game from their past. Did you and your dad beat Spyro the Dragon over the holidays? Or was Halo 4 the one thing that united your roommates during your senior year of college? Stories like these are what Call Me By Your Game is about. From video game content creator Janet Garcia to Hades voice actor Courtney Vinay's, I interview wonderful comedians and game industry friends about these memories. Check us out wherever you get your podcasts, and maybe someday you'll call me by your game.
What's the best first person? You took one back to the shop because it was pants.
That's garbage.
Right, so what's the best first-person shooter I should be putting my N64 and GoldenEye down for and getting in?
Deathloop is almost a progression of. I
see.
feel when we did our game
more
of the
like
year,
BioShock. It's not an FPS. It's a
it is an
first-person
FPS.
story game.
It's a first-person shooter story game.
Okay, yeah, okay. GoldenEye.
Tell me your thoughts, or do you want to go cover that in what we've been playing?
Well, we'll quickly cover it off.
on
I
the
find
article,
that it's absolutely fine. It's more of a Doom style, whereas you're locked on the horizon until you hold right shoulder, and then you can go for a more of a finesse shot. If you remember, you could move your cursor without moving your whole body around. You could move the cursor anywhere on the screen and take shots. I think that's something that's important to remember, because if you're not playing in that way, you tend to end up feeling like a very awkward Doom clone, which it's obviously not. It's its own 3D game, and that's what it is. Obviously, the textures look rough, but the music's still there, and it's still got that vibe. And once you click with the controls, it's still a fun game. You can't take away from the fact that GoldenEye's fun. And to be honest, the kids playing split screen thought it was great.
How does it? James' work experience boy goes from playing Halo Infinite on his Xbox Series S to going on an N64 with a frame rate of 2 frames per second or whatever it is. Surely it just seems like horrid.
Question for you. Can a man enjoy foie gras and enjoy a twopenny chew?
Yeah.
I rest my case, Your Honour.
Okay. A nice example, nice analogy.
A twopenny chew, cheap, tacky, horrible, chew it, but it's still fun. Foie gras cultured, pate, spread on toast, delivered in the right way. It's a sumptuous meal. Okay? That's the same. He's played his Halo Infinite, he's had his foie gras, brilliant. Okay? Then he's jumped on and he's had a twopenny chew as a pate.
I mean, I'm all for it. I think it's real nice you want to show some video game history, because that's important. Like, we show old films to family or friends or children, siblings, whatever. And sometimes they go down well, sometimes they don't. I think it can be hit and miss, but like you say, as long as the core element is fun. I don't think
my takeaway from this piece of news, which we've got slightly away from, is I can't remember the ins and outs of it now, but a company worked really hard to refresh GoldenEye to appeal to twin stick shooter boys like you who want 360 going dark, all that. Captain Price, need realistic controls, need on dual sticks, need shoot to be on the right trigger, all that ramble. They remade this and it looked great. That sounds now like that's iced after all that development time, and they're just going to get a ROM of the N64.
Yeah, that's a bit sort of. I don't know whether there's
the
probably
ability
licensing.
to flick between the two games.
Yeah,
great.
That would be a really nice feature. Imagine doing the split screen and one of you can play. Like there's a mode where one of you has to play with the old style and the old controls, and one has to play in the modern day. That would be quite interesting.
I did some research, and it transpires the reason why we're getting this now and possibly in this N64 format is because there's a window as in between on-screen bonds, which has minimised a commitment to different things, and it's allowed this window of opportunity for this game to come out, and that's possibly why it's the N64 version and not this other one. So I think we should just be grateful that people can maybe get to play it on a modern system. Other than that, I don't know.
It's a shame. I don't know whether I should have a bit more factual knowledge, but I don't know whether any of the Daniel Craig films have been made into a game.
Yes.
They have.
Lots. And he's got his own specific game there. His face was the face of that Bond.
Was
if you
this
remember.
What was that on?
360.
Yes.
PS3 era.
Was it Agent Under Fire or something like that?
No, that was the PS2 one with Pierce Brosnan. He did 2 or 3 games from memory, but that same engine also powered the Sean Connery From Russia with Love game as well, if you remember that.
Excellent knowledge. Well done. Glad you're the host of the show.
You're the host of the show. I just sort of prop you up.
Yeah.
At least that's what the contract states.
Yeah.
I feel as a wingman rear gunner, I'm probably exceeding my mantra right now.
Yeah. Just a bit. But yeah, it'd be nice to see a new one. I think Deathloop's shown there can be interesting dynamics with gameplay. It does feel like I just wanted to discuss that really quickly because kind of left it a bit out of the game of the year, and thinking back it was actually a really enjoyable experience, and felt very James Bond-esque.
I think it was in the nominations, but it just probably didn't grab
I
enough
also think
fan
I
favour.
don't actually think enough people have played it. I think that's another thing. I think when that goes on Games Pass, I strongly recommend you check it out, because when you get into it and you learn the routine and what it's actually all about, it's a brilliant narrative driven towards the end, and your final run is excellent.
I think the good news is when that exclusivity ends, maybe even the Xbox fans are going to be bored of seeing Deathloop trailers.
That's the one problem with exclusivity is the problem Deathloop will have when it comes out. It'll probably come out. I think it's a year exclusive. Is it?
Probably 6
Something
months
like
to
that.
a year.
It depends. So if it comes out like fall of 2022, it's just going to get battered by everything else new coming out. So it's probably going to be one of those that hopefully one day people will go back to and play. I feel like Cyberpunk might go a bit that route when they re-release the next-gen version. I think it's just going to get buried by, you're going to have Elden Ring, Gran Turismo 7, Horizon Forbidden West, that Forspoken game. I should know what Xbox got coming, but there'll be a lot of next-gen titles in the first 6 months, hopefully, if everything sticks to the release date. And Cyberpunk's just going to get a bit buried by a lot of that. But anyway, we're
Less said, soonest mended on that front, I feel. I
I'd love
enjoyed
to
the
give it
game.
I did, yeah.
But it wasn't quite what the trailers... Where were the rest of the flying cars?
Yeah.
Where was the ambulances
Yeah.
when you killed an NPC? I mean, come on.
The problem is with the DLC they're promising as well is like they're probably just going to be missions, and I don't think the missions and the story and the characters are that much of a problem. I think the problem is actually the city and how dead it feels, as we've discussed before, as you said, with the flying cars, the police. I think they can fix that, but they need to flesh the city out more, make it more of a character. I mean, it's great, got a great style and art style of...
why aren't you accessing slums on the 84th floor? Why aren't you... it was meant to be a stroll in Metropolis. Actually, it was a very flat game, which extended up probably 2 stories max.
Yeah, there was one mission I remember where you're trying to get on that... is it like a parade or something for one of the bosses?
Yeah.
That was enjoyable. That felt like a bit of a Blade Runner-esque type.
It did, but again, it was one of those classic... you can make it your own way framing of a video game where it was actually, no, come to point A, do B. Go to point C, do D. Come back here. Haven't we had an interest in it? Like, the story held that together in the characterisation and the voice acting.
I feel like if we both have time next year, we should do another playthrough of next-gen Cyberpunk and bring a fresh review of it, because I've got a lot of time for their studio, because they've gotten the hate when really it will be the publisher who has pushed that out too soon. And also, after getting death threats, which is a ridiculous thing for a video game.
Where were you when Cyberpunk came out? We could have done with this fresh opinion. You were in the chateau again, weren't you?
I was. Yes.
I must note as well that you must have had laser corrective surgery, because normally you can't read the news unless you've got your nose pressed on the page. And today at probably 6 foot, you read it like you were in an optician's reading the lower line of the ABC.
They don't call me Hawkeye on the archery range for nothing,
Well, they don't.
They do now.
I wouldn't have said it was Hawkeye. I see you more as a Legolas. Surfing down on elephant's
What do your
trunk.
elf eyes see?
And then pop in slow-mo.
That's been an enjoyable part of me Christmas break, is watching YouTube videos of Battle for Middle-earth, the strategy game. There's not a big community. It's probably a community of people who put up videos of it, and it's just nice to watch it, but dreaming of playing it again.
I never thought we could squeeze that into the news again.
Shout out to all the Xbox fans. Please badger the Xbox community on Twitter and all the social platforms to put Battle for Middle-earth 2 on the backwards compatibility list. Don't care about EA's licensing issues.
You don't get to sit here on your gilded throne with no social media commanding people to do your bidding. Why don't you get a pen and paper and write a letter?
Where would I send it this day and age?
I don't give a damn.
Do you reckon Xbox have got a PO box?
I guarantee you. All right.
Okay.
Or take a picture of it, do it with crayon, I'll take a picture of it and I'll send it to someone.
Excellent. I will
Okay.
do that for next week.
Question: did we miss anything? Do you have an opinion or take?
I think that conversation encompassed everything relative to 2022.
Wow. Do you have an opinion or take on the news we missed? If so, Tom, tell us how the collected masses can get in contact and let us know that we're flaming
As
glass.
always, you can reach us on the social media platforms, Instagram or Twitter, by direct messaging us. And you can also email us at questions@unofficialcontrollerpodcast.com. But the place we really want to push, we've seen a wealth of new listens over the Christmas period, which is great. We know you're hiding and you don't want to probably come forward.
No.
'Cause that's what we do in geek culture. But come and join the Discord.
One thing while
Come
I'm
and have
here,
a chat with like-minded people.
Let me just take a moment to say Christmas is a fun and festive time for all families, but at the same time, it can bring in some rather sad and disappointing times. Families get together, sometimes things, people rub the wrong way, and that close contact can spurn people to make decisions and bits and bobs. And
2 seconds later, Dad's being 3D'd through a table.
And it's probably time to take some time out to say that the Discord has come into its own over the festive period. There's been a couple of rather sad announcements on there about families and other bits and bobs, and the Discord has rallied round. And I think those that have been through some tough times over Christmas, if you're in the Discord, you probably know the ins and outs, but would like to just thank everybody for the support and the show for building that up and allowing the community to support each other. So yeah, some really, you won't know because you don't know anything about socials, but the Discord has been a sad but happy but fulfilling place. And as you know, if you want to reach out to me individually or members of the Discord, people who are listening, if you're in a situation, you're more than welcome to. It's kind of why the show was brought out in the first place, not to help Dad through a 3D through a table.
I must apologise. I didn't know where you were going with that, so
I didn't pre-warn you, but it was like I say to all those who were involved. You've been absolute legends, and to all those affected over the Christmas period through sadness or other stuff, we must remember it's not just a time for celebrations. We must take time to cast our mind across families and different bits and bobs at the time. So, with all that said and done, let's move that on. If I could do any more of a rabid endorsement of the Discord and the community around this show, which, to be honest, is 10 times better than the show itself, it's a place to go. So if you're listening now and you're a new listener that's come in during the wave of listens we've had over Christmas, please make yourself known. I don't think you'd find a happier, more inclusive place on the internet. And I know that's hypocrisy in itself, but it's true.
If we were a business like the Ghostbusters, you would be Ray Stantz, heart of the Ghostbusters.
Wow.
Unfortunately, I'd be Walter Peck, the man who comes to shut it down.
I see myself a little bit more as a Venkman. I'm thinking on the hoof,
Okay.
I make it up as I go along, We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
Okay.
Where do those stairs go? Up. You're dating a dog? Damn right. Anyway, this week's show, we've taken the beginning of the show, what you've been playing, and we've moved it and dropped it in, and we're going to call it a feature. So, Tom,
Okay.
let me ask you to kick off in the traditional way over the festive period. What have you been playing?
Mainly, I've played nothing much more than Guardians of the Galaxy.
Your Christmas game finished?
Finished.
Throat chop.
Yeah, I got it
Tombstone?
done. I felt I had to get it done before the end of the show. Finished it yesterday.
Oh wow! I don't like being under pressure, George. I didn't enjoy the end of that game. Now
I didn't. It felt rushed. I was skipping all the cutscenes, skipping all the dialogue.
I hope so.
I mean, who's Star-Lord? Who is this guy?
I hope
anyway,
so.
No, thoroughly enjoyed it. Played it through at my own pace, which was nice.
Yeah.
Enjoying the break that Christmas brings for me with work. Yeah, I got really lost in the lore of the proper. A lot of the characters, to me, the game is miles better than either of the films, and I love the films. So to see those characters fleshed out, and someone like Drax, who in in the films is very much comedy based. He has a lot of really funny comedy in the game, but he is a badass. Like, this is the guy who has supposedly slain Thanos. Like, he gets a lot more respect in that regard. He's feared by a lot of people.
In the MCU, in the universe.
In the cinematic universe, yeah.
In the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I shouldn't use abbreviations because it makes me feel alienated. So that's what that stands for, if you didn't know. He's played for laughs, and I cannot for a moment imagine Drax being, in that universe, even being capable of drawing a nick, all that for a drop of blood.
Yeah.
There's no way Drax could do that.
No, in the game he's got a bit more of a legendary status about him because of what he's done, and he went and surrendered himself to Nova Corps, and he's seen as almost honourable but a very, very dangerous person.
And the intelligence as well.
Yeah, like, even though the stuff he says, sometimes they're like, oh, you actually remembered that? And then he's like, yes, of course I did.
Yeah.
He's very, like, abrupt and serious, and that's part of the comedy, and
that's
the way
where the comedy
tells Rocket,
from.
like, shut up, rodent. And I think the conversations between the crew and the chemistry is absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
One
question I have for you, mate, if I may interject, is while I was playing it, I was absolutely loving it. And in my mind, I was thinking this might actually be, it might be hyperbole to say, or hyperbole as we would say on this show, to say this is one of the best games I've ever played. But while I was playing it, it really resonated with me. When I finished it, I think I said a few shows ago, I'd give it, I don't know what I said, I'd give it like an 8. And then over time of not playing it, because when I was playing it, it's all I could think about. I listened to the soundtrack when I was in the car.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was absolutely loving it. And that soundtrack that was written just for the game, not the licensed tracks, is absolutely phenomenal. And I implore people to get on Apple Music and download
the Star-Lord album.
Yeah, it's wonderful. But now you've come away from it and you're starting to coalesce your thoughts on it. When I finished it and moved away from it, it slowly started to sort of diminish its power on me. And instead of being here, it kind of sank down a couple of points in my mind. So I was like, well...
I would completely agree with that statement. I think when you first started, the first probably 5 hours are absolutely brilliant. It's really sucking you in. The characters are really well done, as I've said. The graphics are nice. Feels quite polished. Admittedly, towards the end, I had a couple of bad bugs where I had to reload a checkpoint. Not game breaking, but just reload, and it just was annoying.
Snap. Was that one where you meant to go through you're trying to... it's hard to explain without ruining it. But
I had one right at the end credit, not the end credits, but there's a scene. Brief spoilers. There's a scene where you walk out to be congratulated, and you're kind of walking towards the camera.
Oh yeah.
And I got towards the end, and it just wouldn't go any further. And nothing would load, and it just sucked me right out because the checkpoint reloads. You have to do the whole walk, speak to all the same characters again.
Because that was epic for me.
It was basically Return of the King with Aragorn going and doing all the greetings, and then the hobbits bowing down about 6 times to just redo it again. Brilliant, nice little ending because of like the sort of tongue-in-cheek, like, look at how like awesome we are, and it's got that real cool 80s vibe to it of like. Doubling that with watching Cobra Kai over the Christmas break as well, it really gave me a thing of like, 80s is pretty badass. Like, it's a bit more about speaking your mind and just...
My gen.
Yeah.
Not a millennial like you.
I'm not a millennial.
What are you?
90s.
Right, that makes you a millennial.
No, it doesn't.
They're called millennials because they came of age around the millennium. I'm the last of the Gen X, and you were the first of the millennials.
I am Gen X.
Dude, I would check Wiki. You are so far removed from Gen X.
There's a lot of variations on what they reckon the time things are.
Okay.
To be honest, some of my behaviour does mirror a millennial sometimes.
If you're listening now and you think Tom's a millennial, just write millennial in the Discord and I will show Tom a screenshot of how many millennials there are. If you think he's a Gen Xer, say so. Equally so, let me know what you think.
I'd say some of my views are probably 1950s, but...
Well, we're not allowed to discuss those on air,
Okay.
right? Because we're waiting litigation for those comments.
Right.
So, Guardians of the Galaxy, I've been waiting to talk to you about it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I had a couple of bugs myself, but nothing to really moan about.
No, I think overall it seems very well polished. Graphics are really nice. I loved the flying bits in the Milano. I didn't really expect to have any actual dogfighting combat.
They were a little Star Fox.
Oh, 100%. That's why I like them. I was literally going to say next sentence is they reminded me of Star Fox in the small arena, but it felt slightly bigger than it was. I couldn't gel with the inverted controls, and when I switched them around in the controls, it didn't feel like it did anything. That's where I had another glitch because it just wasn't responding. But I don't know whether that was my error in turning things on and off.
I find that there's games where there's flying where up is up and down is down. And obviously, you're playing another the game normally, and you might have inverted that. But for me, if I've been playing with non-inverted and then it switches to inverted for the fly, I don't have much of a problem with it because I was raised on flight sims and bits and bobs. And when I'm flying something, I immediately want to use the joystick as it should be.
I'm glad they put a barrel roll in as well.
Yeah, barrel roll. I thought the whole thing was cool. I like the aesthetic when you're like...
It was the missiles that didn't work well for me. I don't know whether it was a problem with the controls or the game's glitching, but towards the end of the game, you do a bit where you have to get into the final area and you press the left trigger to activate the missiles, and then I think they didn't do anything, and I thought, you click right trigger to actually fire them. And it just got a bit annoying more than anything. It kind of took me out of what was a really good segment of space battle. But it's nice they put that in. They didn't have to. It's just helps break the play up a bit, and because the ship is a cool character. It's a really nicely done ship because you're in the interior of some of the game where you're having conversations with the crew.
I'm going to go here again. It's a shame you can't find Avengers for a very small price, because the one-player story of that, which has got levels much like you've played in there, not the multiplayer Battlefield levels that kind of bolt it together, but the actual story specific levels where you're traversing as Miss Marvel or doing whatever are really good. And everything you liked about Guardians is in there. That's why I revisit it again. Still a great game, but the actual, once you get out of the crux of the main story and you're thrust into the monotony of the actual game, not very good.
I like some of the Easter eggs to do with the Avengers as well, where they're like, what about Earth's Mightiest Heroes? And I think Rocket's like, what, those pajama-wearing buffoons? There was just some nice little
I found
Easter
Rocket
eggs
was
there.
the one that was closest to his movie counterpart.
Yeah.
Almost.
I think he's brilliantly done in the game. He's done well in the movie, to be honest, but in the game, he fleshes out the character a bit more of his backstory of where he comes from in the lab. And
Quill was good as well. I wasn't sure what to think of him at first, but by the end of it, I was like, yeah, that's my Star-Lord.
He's brilliant, yeah. Because I, of course, went and watched the film. I watched the first one anyway. I haven't had time to watch the second one, but Chris Pratt's great in it. But also
Hollywood's everyman. Mario, Garfield, keep it coming. Jurassic Park, Lego. This guy, I quite enjoy him, but I can see that oversaturation might become a problem for him.
Yes, absolutely.
It's a me, Mario.
I don't know how that's going to work. I felt like they really should have gone with a proper Italian actor. But it's Mario. It's hardly the Godfather Part 4.
I wonder if they're going to go down the route of him sort of starting off as a real life dude, as a plumber.
Yeah, I think that would be
going
quite
through and then it
interesting,
being done in an 8-bit, 16-bit graphical style, maybe in the style of... If you could turn that graphic style,
I think it would be
3D,
modern. I think it would be modern CGI. I think
for all of it.
Yeah, I think it would be a bit disgusting.
That's a bit sick.
Even if someone like Pixar did it, I still wouldn't. I think your lines of thought are better with that, because it would, something like Into the Spider-Verse has these cool animation styles that have a feel of old and new, and I feel like Mario would work better like that. I've not watched the Sonic film. I've heard it's actually quite good.
Do you know what?
The second one's
quite good.
Quite interesting.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Just a quick question going back to Guardians of the Galaxy. Obviously, we've got Guardians, Avengers, Spider-Man. We've got Wolverine coming. Do you reckon one day we might see, because of the success of Marvel Cinematic Universe, do you think all those companies could get together enough and say, we can make some big bucks here if we made a game where it brings in all the characters and the proper characters, like the Peter Parker is the Peter Parker from Insomniac, Spider-Man, the Wolverine is the one from Insomniac, the Guardians of Square Enix. You think there's too many moving parts?
There's too many moving parts. There's too many egos attached. There's too many sort of... Sony's probably the problem here because they own those franchises and they're not going to want to pimp those out, like you say about the money. But if they let him off their ecosystem, they've lost an exclusive, they've lost this, they've lost that. One of their first-party developers is creating a game for someone else. That has got form because MLB is created as a multi-platform. I just don't think at the moment they'd probably be able to quite get their heads around giving away what's technically their best.
I'd love to see it, and also I'd love to see it if we can get even Wolverine or the Guardians into... I think putting Guardians into Spider-Man PlayStation would be difficult because the Avengers are there, but then you bringing in space and galaxy and...
I don't know whether this is right, but Guardians was greenlit relatively quickly, and whether it had a life before Avengers or not, and what its actual trajectory would have been if Avengers hadn't been spiked is something very different. Now, would Square Enix's Guardians have made it into Square Enix's Avengers? I think it would. I think they would have, and possibly still will at some point in time. But is that going to be enough of a draw to pull people back to Avengers? To be honest,
it would maybe tempt someone like me who's not really interested in the Avengers game just because of
all the things that you did in that game with their powers and how they play and the cooldown. It's basically the Avengers toolset.
The thing is, I'm just not like I enjoy Avengers Infinity War and Endgame, but I haven't really watched a lot of the other films. I've seen Civil War.
You're missing out.
I don't know if I am. Like, the one I actually the one I did like, and it's not the one I thought I would like, is the Captain America films. I actually find him one of the better heroes. My favourite Marvels are probably Guardians, like Logan. I do prefer... Some of them are they feel a bit old now as well. Like the original Iron Man, the first Thor, they're a bit old.
We know you don't like old things. As soon as that CGI, you don't watch Lord of the Rings anymore.
Yeah, but that's good old. That is time.
I would love to work out the equation in your brain about where X sits
Keep
and
telling
Y
you
sits.
there's only one return of, and it ain't the Jedi.
I'll tell you what else. Is that all you've been playing?
I played some Warzone on the new map, Caldera. We've still yet to get a win in our team of 3, which is pretty gutting, but I'm actually really enjoying it. Actually more incentive to play it, not having the win because you're chasing that big first win of beating everyone. I think the map's quite nicely done. It's very bright compared to the Verdansk map. It's obviously on an island. Not a big fan of, like, it's almost like they gave in to a bit of peer pressure. So obviously it's World War II Vanguard. You've got those sort of era guns. There's a couple of old planes to fly, old jeeps. Then all of a sudden it's like they've got the fan base in and gone, I want all my Modern Warfare or Black Ops guns. So now you've got people running around with a heartbeat sensor, and one guy's got like a M1 Garand, and or a Thompson, and it just feels a little bit... We tend to play the Vanguard only, so you're limited to those guns and that sort of tech, if you see what I mean.
360 going dog.
I know you hate the modern shooter and everything that goes with it, but I will throw back to you the GoldenEye comment. It's fun.
Mate, I haven't... If you enjoy it, that's
Millions
fine.
of people.
I rib you because you took the game back because it didn't have 360 going Dark Knight games. It wasn't super serious for you.
No, it was just a badly made game as well. Terribly made game. And more people are starting to wake up to the fact that it's trash and it's getting returned left,
Do you remember
right, centre.
Debajin?
Yes.
The biggest flex gamer in history. He's been in touch, by the way.
He better not have a win on Warzone.
No, I don't think he's going to have been playing Warzone. He's talking about his Christmas gifts. He says, best one was my OG Game Boy. I think for this Christmas, sir. But he's talking about his old Christmases.
Oh, right, okay.
Good old Dubai Gym. 4 AA batteries and screen smaller than a kiddie Zoom watch face. He's not bothered. However, I stumbled on this gift in early December. So he's totally got the wrong end of the stick here as Dubai Gym. It was about presents over this Christmas.
That's all
and
right.
games he'd played. But he's remembering back to the time.
Maybe he transcends time like the retro man. Oh, the retro man.
Your killer app.
My killer app, which has had numerous listens.
Captain Cold's been in touch.
Captain Cold? Is this a new listener?
No. He's been
Different
one of our
name?
loyal listeners from the start, so you've just shamed him.
Captain Cold.
Say sorry to him now.
Sorry, Captain Cold, but...
Anyway, he says that he got a mushroom lamp, which he's quite happy about, gaming one for his setup.
Mario, not Magic.
I can't imagine you eating a magic mushroom lamp.
You wouldn't eat it. It's made of plastic. Retro man might eat it.
I think it's gaming specific, a Mario mushroom.
I would say
I don't
so,
know if it's red or
yes.
green. Who even knows? But he's been enjoying... he's an avid Fortnite player and he's been enjoying some Metroid Dread.
Ooh.
And he's also been having the
looks
bestest
really good, to be
time
fair.
at the Disney parks over the Christmas period, which is nice.
Oh, he's been on holiday, has he? Mm-hmm. Very nice.
Do you remember Harvey Retro?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you for your great efforts with the Christmas show.
I think
we're-
he technically
we're
put in
battered that-
more effort than you.
Oh, behave! I know the whole script,
Which, to be fair...
which I ran out of time with at the end, so we kind of have to leave you with a half.
We need to thank Sir Mike Rouse for coming up with some of the best ad-libs in the business.
Yeah, well done. And well done,
Let me just
Mike.
put
Well
my
done, Harvey Retro.
CRTs on. No, that's my good old friend Stingray. Yes.
A finished product will be available one day when I finally get finished.
Anyway, Harvey Retro. He says...
I'm just want to say thank you for him.
Oh, okay.
For doing a great job of the sort of David Bowie intro / to the Retro Man.
There's only one thin white Duke. And it's Harvey Retro.
And his name then was with Retro.
He says he thinks he should mention he got a 1993 Knuckles push-along Happy Meal toy in his stocking. Very cool. And he's been playing Tomb Raider Angel of Darkness on PS2. Lara is so sluggish, it's like she's just had a Christmas dinner when she runs. So I could relate to that this holidays. I still enjoyed the game regardless. Angel of Darkness, was that sort of glitched mess that they brought out in the PS2 era? So I remember
I don't think it was received overly well, was it?
Boring story, as you know, to the long-term listeners, I was in the Navy. And there was a lad who was hyped. He was like a massive... I felt Tomb Raider had passed in the 2000s,
Yeah.
but he was hyped for it. And he was duty, and the game came out, so when you're duty, you can't leave the ship. But the game came out to coincide with him being on duty. So it's fine, I brought my PS2 down, I'm going to use the mess TV. That was the kind of guy he was. Sod everyone else. I want my PS2 experience.
Everybody look at this.
So I'm having it.
He sounds like my sort of guy, to be fair.
He was a nice guy, but in a way, he was very singular focused like you. Absolutely. And I've never seen a man's face go from joy of the sealed game to the disappointment that Sunday evening of, what the hell is this? And I think I watched him degrade over the weekend. He's like, oh, what do you reckon? It's like, well, yeah, graphics are I don't know. Towards the Sunday, I'm like, just broken. I think it glitched on him as well. And obviously, there was no fixes back in the day. It was just like, this is broken. So that was the joy. So fair play to Harvey Retro for digging that out. I might try and get it on eBay just for nostalgia factor of maybe watch myself go downhill over a weekend as well. But thank you everyone for messaging in.
We need to take it into like some school canteen, like cafeteria as well, to give you the full time travel experience. Imagine just get some guys dressed in naval uniforms, all sort of like slowly looking really disappointed at it as a game, and just
In black and white,
wishing
like
they could be watching
experience.
Deal or No Deal or something on the telly instead.
I would love to create like a black and white art house movie of maybe the game, right, on a road next to like a dog poo with some flies, and then cut to a man in a cafe having an espresso, and then cut to a ballerina covered in pig's blood, and then cut back to the game, and then...
That's too rich for my cultural taste. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
and then
You
just a
lost me
black
there.
screen thin.
Okay.
That's
A
what I
thin,
want.
okay.
Done.
Done.
Winner. If you don't understand it, you're
It's
not
'cause you-
cerebrally
yeah.
intelligent enough
Okay.
for this.
Right.
Do you remember Gazell's Games?
I do.
He's in the playground. He says, new games, PS4.
Captain Cold's going to feel really disappointed because I remembered everyone else.
I remember Captain Cold. I talked to him. He's one of the sweetest people in the community. He's not in the Discord, shame on you, but he's on the Insta, and he's always been very supportive of us on the show. Probably not you, especially now, but you know.
Yeah.
Alan Wake remastered Gazell's Games never played it, so he says it's glad he's got it on the PlayStation. Mass Effect Trilogy, same, never played it, so it'd be great to play the full and remastered package. Star Wars Jedi Knight Collection, again more past classics I've never played, now on PS4. On his Switch he picked up WarioWare.
Oh, I bet that was good at Christmas.
Not too many new games, has already got most I want, plus the backlog's huge. Over Xmas has enjoyed a break, has not been gaming much. He's now into photography. He's got an Insta page, Ever the Promotionist, Squirry Adventures for Squirrel Pokemon Photography. They come visit me daily. He's transitioned as Gazell's Games. He now collects Tamagotchis, rare ones.
Okay.
They have value. I never knew.
I feel like he could do something with his photography and do some very artistic, like next to a table lamp on a nice table of a very high-res quality picture of a Tamagotchi.
He's already beat you to it.
Has he?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's nice.
That's the sort of guy he is.
I'm thinking black and white next to a dog poo, black and white thin.
Okay.
Okay.
You're too heart house for me, buddy.
Robin's Retro. He's probably a new name for you. He's an Instagram follower. He's not in the Discord. He's one of our Dutch followers.
Oh,
I
okay.
believe. He says he's got Sub-Zero and Crash Bandicoot Cable Guy from EXG Pro as presents. So they're the...
Oh, I saw
Cable
those in
Guy
game
ones.
over Christmas. They actually look pretty cool.
And he's been
I like those.
playing Gears of War 5 and Call of Duty Vanguard. So, man after your own heart.
Ah.
I've seen some more Cable Guys recently where it's like a VHS with the legs of the star of the film, so Marty McFly's trousers, and then a VHS, but you know, they're controller chargers basically. Well, they're not even that. They're
I
controller.
see they're doing some phone charger ones as well. They had a load of them.
The Cable Guy ones will do both.
Ah.
Yeah, it's a brand they've attached themselves to. That
Okay. Maybe we could speak to them, get them to sponsor the show.
Cable Guys.
We'll do a free advertisement for them. We've just kind of done it now, haven't we? Really, but
Whether they sponsor us or not, why
bucks.
don't I do a pre-roll and post-credits roll for Cable Guys just because we're that kind?
No, we don't do anything for free other than this show. We want money from them. You leave that with me. I'll go speak to them. You just put out
Guarantee
some
you,
spiel.
nothing will get achieved. You'll probably write a really powerful letter and then just sign off.
I always overpromise and underdeliver. It's part of my lifestyle.
Badabingst has been in touch.
Okay.
He has been the luckiest man this Christmas. I cannot believe. Look at this stack.
have
So
a look
we've
then.
got
Alan Wake.
Alan Wake, Alex Kidd in Miracle World, PS5 Ghost of Tsushima, Watch Dogs
nice.
Legion, Mortal Kombat 11 on the PS5 as well. He's got a Steelbook of Avengers, I presume maybe PS4, and it came with his PS4 Avengers that he's got. Free upgrade for that on PS5 if you're interested. Bud Spencer and Terence Hill, Trials Fusion, PS4, Killzone Shadow 4, PS4, PS2 game, Metal Gear Solid 3 Subsistence. That's the expanded one, which actually gives you the right stick to control the camera, so you don't feel like a complete lemon every time you play it. He's got Super Tennis on the SNES, and he's picked himself up the media remote.
Are you secretly trying to interject Stingray's boot again here? Caught you. Caught you.
You know, my God, what is that? It's Stingray.
That's got to be Kane.
It's got to be Kane. Gaming Graham's been in touch.
Okay.
Hey George, I only got the one game, which is Far Cry 6, but I used the money that I received to add Death Stranding, Shenmue 1 and 2, and Call of Duty Modern Warfare to the collection. I'm saluting him for Shenmue.
Shenmue 3.
Shenmue 1 and 2.
Oh, thank God.
Thank God. Says the man who's never played Shenmue 3.
I've watched the playthrough. That was enough.
Oh,
Dreadful.
my God. Okay. Best gaming present I got, though, came in the form of Nacon Revolution Pro Controller 3 from my PS4.
Nice.
I've been wanting a fancy controller for my
they're
PS4
quite nice,
for a while now, so was chuffed when I opened it on Christmas Day. Smiling with a bead of sweat. I always think that's what that emoji is, but I'm not sure.
Because he's overwhelmed through the thoughtfulness of the gift.
You know my adopted son of the show, Ginge?
Yeah.
Ginge's Games Room on Instagram?
Yeah.
He's been in touch.
Has he?
He says, I've picked up quite a few games over the Christmas period. Bloodborne, Death Stranding, Killzone, Uncharted Trilogy on the PS3, Simpsons Hit and Run, which is a joy. I spent a few days getting the Platinum for Mafia Definitive Edition. Apologies to Sir Mike Rouse, one of the developers of the Mafia Definitive Edition, because Ginger opinion is it that it's a steaming pile of shoesy woozy. He swore, no swores here. He knows this. Absolutely he does. I think that probably covers off everything and everyone.
Okay.
Dubai Jim went on a retrotastic journey. Probably should have been more explicit in the way I described it. We loved Dubai Jim. He's still making the coffee, still doing the bike rides, still doing the major flex. He probably swapped that Game Boy he got for a Switch, even before they were out in 1993. That's
Maybe.
the level of player that he is. If you remember, he swapped the Game Gear for a Mega Drive or something.
Yeah.
When you were last.
That's good hustling.
Let me take you on the journey through what I've been playing.
Okay.
Sit down.
I need to. I've just seen this whole list.
Now, Xbox 360 Connect, we've reacquired one because I've give it a real beatdown on this show over the time.
Rightfully so.
No, listen. Me and James, the work experience boy, set that up. Now, we played probably what is the two high bastions for the game, which is for the peripheral.
And what are they?
Connect Sports and Connect Adventures.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did they ever get any licensed games like was there a Star Wars one?
Stop talking now, you're going to ruin this.
Okay, ruin the surprise.
There's no surprise here. These are the high points. The games you mentioned, they're the low points. Okay, we don't want to go back there.
Okay.
So, the 360 Connect. I thought, I need to reevaluate my thoughts on this. Let's go back through. Those two games, with enough playroom, obviously Ponsonbury Manor, one thing that we're afforded here is space. When I first had a Connect, even though it was a spacious suburban home, there wasn't room to swing a cat. And the Connect knew this, and mocked me from the inside out. At Ponsonbury Manor, Connect works okay. I wouldn't say well, because there were still times where it looked like I'd broken my arm in 6 places and it was kind of spragging across my face, even though I had my arms by my side, and the room was lit like we're on the surface of the sun.
Okay.
But when we were playing it and having fun, it was catching... Connect Sports does like a re-roll of snaps that it's taken. James, the work experience boy, was rolling around on the floor with tears in his eyes because there's one bit where I kind of fell backwards, but it clipped it to music and then fast-forwarded it where I managed to regain myself. It's hilarious. That's really what that should have been. The price point it launched at? No. Price point I rebought it for? £4? Acceptable. Okay? I can afford to enjoy myself at the cost of 2 Costas. Halo Infinite.
I got to see some of this, didn't I?
Better than Forza Horizon 5? In my opinion, yes.
I'm quite surprised you said that, seeing as you're more of a racer fan than a FPS fan.
I too am surprised by that. Halo Infinite. It was, James, give me the control, let me have a go. Boom. And it felt... I haven't played a Halo game in some time, but I tell you what, it felt like I'd never been away. And I love the flow of it. You know, you're storming in, empty your clip, pistol whip, next guy, the sound of the...
you got the grapple hook
dudes.
now as well.
Now, that was something I didn't think I'd be able to get my head round. But you know what? It's implemented so well. In an open world game, actually probably quite generous to give you the freedom to be
Yeah.
able to grapple that way. He's got a cool down, he doesn't attach to every surface, but do you know what? Thoroughly enjoyed that.
I see the communities are making some really interesting, like, physics-based stuff, or like just really technical, like grappling up to a flying ship and then on your way down shooting another one with a rocket launcher. And there's some really like very clever
I wish I was that good.
gameplay.
I wish I was that good. But I'm looking forward to playing some more of that over January. I didn't think James, the work experience boy, was forced to download it at gunpoint. And then when left to his own devices, has thoroughly enjoyed it. So, yeah, it's been fun.
Do you think, there's talking about watching people do stuff like that on Halo Infinite, do you reckon back in our day when like someone you mentioned, oh yeah, I managed to do this on the game, and you're like, yeah, of course you did, mate, whatever. Now, it's factually there.
Share button.
Yeah. I actually did this.
Yeah. Also been playing some Kenna. Kenna has took me to the edge and back again. Question. Did you play Kenna in 60 FPS mode or 30 FPS mode?
60.
I'm going to go on record now, okay? I have been days over Christmas trying to beat Corrupt Tarot and failing miserably every time.
Okay.
And on one of the reloads last night, I was like, I've had enough of this. And as I was sort of jumping towards the circle where you kind of interact to go to Tarot's little boss arena.
What? Corrupt Tarot.
He's the wolf.
Yeah. How many is that for the first like mask thing you get?
I think you have a mask to go face.
Yeah, to
Tarot.
go. That's it. Yeah.
And I have failed. Me and James, the work experience boy, round and round.
Do you want me to smash him after the show?
Dude, it's done.
Okay.
Let me finish my story and
Apologies.
you'll see what happened. I was at my wit's end.
Okay.
I was actually messaging my own adopted son, Ginge.
Okay.
Like, what am I doing wrong? Well, it sounds like you're doing everything you need to do. So, yeah. Anyway, after I respawned, I went to the circle to interact and press jump. And I noticed it was a bit delayed. I was like, that's weird. Is this my... I'm not going to blame this on my skills. Yeah. So I went into settings and thought, because I don't know why, but I don't want to play... This is going to sound counterintuitive, but because I play across so many generations, I don't like to go to 60 FPS too much because it really hurts to go play a PS3 game. And there isn't a 60 FPS patch for those games. Yeah. It's just not happening. And it does create quite a jarring experience. Whereas if I play in the 4K fidelity mode at 30 FPS, everything is fine. My whole gaming timeline is maintained.
Okay.
It's kind of within the realms of it feeling the same from one machine to the next, regardless of timeline. So I thought, oh no, I'll put it in 60 FPS. When I pressed jump, Kenna jumped. Smash Tarot, first time. No questions asked.
That's an interesting point. I know a few people who have done
and it
that
was easy.
Yeah.
Which I was shocked at because I thought I was smashing my head against a brick wall. I was crunching that DualSense up. I was making... it took me back to a time when I used to play SNES as a kid on my own and I'd get to really frustrating bits. And in my mind, I would start making deals with the game. I'd be like, okay, this time you've got to let me win. That's I'm going to trade you tomorrow or I'm going to never play you again. And then, I'll be making deals with the controller in my mind, like, you've got to come through for me this time. That's I'll bite you. And there'll be like tooth marks in the controller. Kenna took me to that place at 30 FPS. At 60 FPS, it was done in a heartbeat.
Yeah. So I've heard of numerous people say on Demon's Souls recommended playing it at 60 FPS because of the similar reasons, because there appears to be less lag input or animations are quicker and it just seems to run better and easier to succeed. I was thinking we were talking about like frustrating games and that. I pre-ordered Elden Ring. When I finished Sekiro, I thoroughly enjoyed that game and I look back now and thinking actually that was a brilliant, brilliant game. But at the time, oh my God, incredibly frustrating and hard. I'm not the best gamer going and by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm okay. So to me, pre-ordering Elden Ring's a bit of a risky one. It's like, am I actually going to finish this? Like, The only game I've ever not finished is Cuphead. Still the hardest game I've played.
I almost downloaded that the other day, and then I was like, no, George, don't be silly.
It's a lot of fun as well, and it's a shame I just couldn't. I just didn't have the reflex of the response. I got quite far through it, but it almost. I started looking at some of the end game bosses and thinking, I'm never going to be able to do that because I can't do this. But Demon Souls, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Sekiro, they've all been like, when you know how they work, it's a bit easier to realise you will get that done. It will just take time. You've got to learn a bit more. Cuphead was more reflex based, so it was more frustrating because I was like, I can't. Like
Cuphead feels like one of those sort of old school arcade experiences.
It is, yeah.
Where it's like you've just got to remember the pattern.
Yeah.
And you know, and on an old 16-bit game, you had to not only remember the pattern of the enemies and the way the screen rolled and where the different things would be on one level, 2 levels, 3 levels, 4 levels. Cuphead, it's the same. I haven't got the memory for it anymore.
Well, there was a guy who played the network test of Elden Ring, and he was saying the reason no one's moaning about, because you've got the hardcore who don't ever want an easy setting and they don't want them to change it. But they've also got to make it more accessible if they want it to be a very successful franchise, which it is kind of already. But
well, as a studio, you need to make as much money as possible.
Exactly.
So everyone needs to be able to play it. Now, to some of you hardcore that got you to where you are, they're going to feel like you're dumbing it down. But to be honest with you, if the game opens up and it's default, maybe it should just ask you. You know?
It doesn't. So what?
No, but on Elden Ring, maybe it should say, "Have you played a Souls game before?" Yes.
Yeah.
Would you like it to be traditionally hard, or would you like it to be a more...
I mean, what they've done, this guy was saying, is they've opened it up and made it more accessible by having the open world, so you can level up a bit more. You can maybe look at a different way of doing things. You can get to one boss and think, I can't do him right now. I'm going to go explore a different area. He said the accessibility has not been done through the fact that it isn't any harder or easier. There's more options to play with, which I think is a great way of dealing with difficulty. Unfortunately, like we were just saying with Cuphead, it is more reflex based. If you can't get that pattern down, or like some of the bosses I did on there, I was like, I'm never going to do this, but eventually did, and it just got to a point where I was like, I can't devote the time to do this. That's the other problem is how much time it can swallow.
So going back, Kenna, now that that's Corrupt Tarot's out of the way, I'm into like a new area with the woodsmith partner.
Is that there's like 2 female characters?
Yeah, there's like one's a blacksmith and one's a woodsmith, and they've made all these things for the town. Really enjoying that new area. I don't think it's as appealing eye candy wise as the first area, which felt like a very twee wood. This one's a little bit more. When you first get into it, it's all on fire. I don't know what it was like on your headset, but when I played it on the surround sound, I was like, my God, this is brilliant. You know, really, really drew you in. Not really much to say, but I've been continuing a playthrough of Infamous Second Son. Got the neon powers now, which are absolutely phenomenal. Again, now you've finished Guardians, I thoroughly recommend you pop that down. It's got a PS5 patch, and honestly,
it's on the free download.
It is. It's a wonderful game. You will thoroughly enjoy it.
One of the games on... we'll get to that anyway. I'm sorry for interrupting. Carry on. Moonlighter. Now, what a thoroughly great game. It's a small little game. It's a roguelike though, isn't it? Or it has roguelike elements.
It probably does have. Yeah, you could be argued it does have roguelike elements. Not got a problem with that.
Okay.
Because it's presented in such a little two-penny chew way. Basically, you own a shop that sells goods, but you go out at night in the dungeons to collect the goods. Then the whole shop management thing is that you put them on for sale, but you have to get the price right.
Okay.
Because people come in the shop and they look at the price and they do a sad face. Right. So if you get the price right, they come in and do the happy face. So it's finding the medium. And sometimes I think you can sell something one day and then think, oh, that's not really selling very well, I'll drop the price. And people come in who've bought it before, they get offended. So they're like, Mmm. So it's that management. And I've quite enjoyed it. It's the risk reward of like, do I go further in this dungeon?
Yeah.
And lose what I've got stock-wise for the shop? And you know me, I always overextend myself. I had one of my best runs and thought, just one more room. And then that one more room was like absolutely death on a stick for
What
me.
are you playing that on?
Playing it on PS4.
Okay.
I wish it was on Vita. Apparently it's
Because
it's not possible.
It was one of those games that came on Switch when I was really like into the Switch ecosystem. I was like, I can't wait for that to come out. And then just kind of, it took ages to come out.
It's on sale at the minute,
it.
which is why I picked it up. I think for the complete edition, which is the DLC as well, it was £5.
Yeah.
And I thought for that price point, for what it is, it's one of those games that'll sit in the background. Don't need to worry too much about it, and I can just pop it on. There's a little element of skill fade, I should imagine, but it's presented in such a nice way. I don't really care. It's fun. I enjoy it. So, also, must mention I've actually been playing a lot of Spider-Man Remastered. I'm playing through it since I got it last year as
Have
part of the
you
Miles
got
package.
the new suits from the film?
Yeah, they're all in it. Yeah,
You
They look
enjoy
good.
the film?
I love the film. Yeah.
We can talk about that off air, can't we? Because there's obviously people who still
Yeah, I
haven't seen
think
it. And
that
it's...
if you do not have anything spoilt for you,
Yeah.
because that's what really makes it. But I've been enjoying playing that just again when I'm. What I like about these modern consoles, the Series XS or the PS5, is if you want to play something that's on your hard drive, it's instant. And
Yeah,
sometimes I'm
it's
making
almost-
tea and I'll do a bit of Spider-Man Remastered and just do a couple of little missions and be like, yeah, that's it, done. You know, I'm happy with it.
Depending on your internet connection, sadly though, it can almost feel like we've taken the steps back to like the loading the cassette days of. If I haven't got it on my hard drive and I look on my bookshelf where I've got all my games, and I've actually got quite a lot of PS4, PS5 games now, and I think, I could just play that. Oh, wait a minute, that's like 60 gig. It's going to take this long. So that sometimes makes me a bit disappointed, but I know what you mean about the instant loading when you have got it installed. It's great.
Do you want to hear my 2022 prediction?
Yeah.
You know all your PS4 and 5 games that you've got lined up?
You're going to get traded.
Throat Chop, Tombstone, Nintendo announce a release date for Breath of the Wild 2, tell everybody that's best played on the OLED.
What, in a handheld console?
All that gone for the OLED so you can get the definitive...
No chance.
It's on air. It's on air.
If it's a new console, I might prick my ears up, but for the OLED, there's no point, because I'd play it on the TV screen, so the OLED is literally irrelevant.
When the Switch finally makes its way back to you,
Yeah.
and it may have an
Which it will. I'll play Breath of the Wild 2.
and it may have an element of drift, it may be a bit worn out,
Yeah.
and you want that nice shiny N64
I'll just use my
Ocarina
Pro
of Time experience.
controller. I won't use the Joy-Cons, they're gash. They're alright if that's all you've got, but...
That's how you
must
play
buy-
Breath of the Wild.
No, I bought a Pro controller day one.
I remember you showing me the thing and you were like, do you know what, this works for me, George.
I don't think that's true.
Ever the rabid
I don't think
Nintendo
that's true at
salesperson.
all.
You need a Switch. Last time I followed you
I was
into
just
a
trying to get.
console-
I always give you the big sales pitch.
Last
I've got
time
to
I
come
followed
round,
you into
show you
a
all the
console.
tricks. Like, look how good this is. I'm not telling secretly the Joy-Con controller isn't that comfy, but let you have a hold of the Pro. The Pro is still a really nice controller.
Talking of that, last time you sold me down the river on a console, it was the Wii U.
Of course.
Enough time has passed, much like the Kinect, for me to be able to revisit
Rise
the
from
Wii
your
U.
grave.
My God, is that listener Stingray? No, it's the Wii U. Okay, so I had a big pile of trade doubles and things I collected and games that I saw that were cheap and I bought and I've traded because I could see some.
Did that Wii U come boxed?
No.
Okay.
I wasn't bothered. That's what I think of the Wii U. But I picked it up with Mario Kart 8 and Smash. We've talked about Smash off air. I know it's everyone's favourite, but I've never been into it for multiple reasons. Mario Kart 8, fun. If that had come out with the Wii U when it launched, I probably wouldn't have traded my Wii U.
It's well made.
Zombie
Very good game.
U, no. Mario Kart 8, yes,
That was
please,
the biggest mistake, I think, from the get-go, is they didn't... I remember we got our Wii U's in November, wasn't it? I didn't pick up a first-party Nintendo game till, I think, June, July, which was Pikmin 3, and that was the first big release. And I remember playing it going, right, finally, Nintendo have got something out and it's pretty half decent. When Mario Kart 8 came out, I think I'd had a pretty severe back injury. I got it ordered with the wheel through the post. I was able to like sit and play some of that.
Is it the wheel that was on the Wii?
Yeah, you basically put
plastic.
You put your Wii remote in and you could use that. But I didn't end up using it a lot. I used the pad, the Wii
It's
U
better
pad.
with the pad.
I think I had a traditional controller as well. But yeah, I enjoyed quite a lot of taking Mario Kart online, decent online for the first time, playing that while I was off. And yeah, I got good memories of Mario Kart 8. Picked it up again on the Switch, which in some ways was a little bit kind of like I'm just getting it again so we can play. Because I used to play a lot of Switch with friends on like local co-op before COVID. And I'll say Smash on the Switch is one of the best multiplayer experiences you can have with 4 or 5. I remember playing it on the Wii U, and we had about 6 of us playing it, because I think the Wii U one was the first where they had 8 players.
Yeah.
I'd bought 4 Wii remotes. I had the like Mario family ones, so I'd gone all in on the Wii U. So some of the guys were playing on that. One guy was playing on my 3DS. You could play the 3DS as a controller for Smash Bros. Because I forget 3DS had a version of Smash Bros. And it was actually really good.
You can use the 3DS controller for Mario Kart.
I'm not sure on Mario Kart, but definitely Smash Bros.
How weird.
It's pretty cool.
I've got a 2DS. Would that be the same?
Yeah, should be. I'm not sure whether you have
there's another console I followed you down the road of, a 3DS. It was around the
I'll
same era
not
as
have
this.
outside about it against that, because that was a really good console. I had a really nice library of games for that. I think it was really... When it hit its stride, when it suffered the same as the Wii U, but they managed to turn that around into a successful handheld. They launched with nothing, but then I think...
No, they launched with their repackaged Ocarina.
No, I think that came later. It definitely came later because I wasn't interested in it. And then as soon as that appeared and Mario 3D Land, I bought both with a white 3DS. I remember getting it from the shopping centre. My wife,
didn't we?
We got yours because I had conjuring to getting one. Big sales pitch. I was like, you need to get one of these because I've got one and we can do multiplayer. And we got that like weird dungeon crawler game.
What was that?
But then the online was shocking, wasn't it? It just wouldn't work.
What dungeon crawler game?
Oh, what was that called?
I've totally blanked that from my memory. How hideous.
But we were all set to play that, and then we tried to connect online to play, and it wouldn't work. I think we could only get it to work in, like, literally stood, like, close.
Less said, soonest mended.
But no, I miss playing the 3DS.
Soon as it's the festive period of old school peripherals, on New Year I had some friends over to the Ponsonbury Manor.
Yes.
And we played Buzz.
Yeah, now, I thought about picking up one of the... Because I was Googling, like, PS4, PS5... family games, those sort of things, and everyone was raving about, they should make another Buzz for the PS5 and all this. I was like, I've never played that. Remember the like weird presenter guy with the glasses and the blonde quiff? I think
Looked like a Muppet.
Yes, yeah. Tell me about Buzz PS3.
It's just a general knowledge. I mean, goodness.
You got the controllers?
Yeah, it came. I got like a really nice
set,
not new, but obviously second hand. It comes in a set. There's a slipcase with the guy from Buzz on the front of it, and then it's like a dark royal blue with gold writing, sort of leaf on it that says Buzz, and you open it up, and it's like a red velvet case with 4 Buzz controllers, the dongle.
So are they like an infrared controller?
Yeah, it must be.
And then you have these like 4 buttons.
I'm not sure, because the PS3, up to so many players, you don't need the dongle, but then after so many players, you do need the dongle. So I'm not quite sure how it works, whether the Bluetooth or infrared or what, I don't know. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we had fun. If you've got an iToy as well, or no, PlayStation 3 camera, they ditched the iToy name by then, or whatever it was. It said, as we were starting it up, it said, have you got one of these? And I thought, oh yeah, I have. So under the telly, I went through my controllers and pulled it out, plugged it in, stuck it down. And when you're playing it, much like Kinect, it took pictures of us. as we were playing it, which was cool because we had a room full of people.
Yeah.
And we all broke off into teams of 4, and it was a fun time.
Nice.
And the thing about Buzz is, you talk about rubber banding in Mario Kart, but the penultimate level, or there's a couple of levels that really just level the playing field. So if you've got an absolute brainiac, there's a couple of levels that just decimate. If someone's running away with it, there's a round that just decimates everybody back down again, and it just makes sure everyone's got a fair chance. So no one felt like, you had the pub quiz legend who just ran away with it. There was a round in the game that leveled everybody off and brought them back down again.
Okay.
So you can rob points from people,
That's
and then
good.
there's a position that can pull points down. So I thought that was good.
I remember the local Farmerton village quiz that I went to.
Really?
Me and the family got accused of cheating because they had a movie soundtrack round. And I'm not very good at a lot of things, but I know a lot about that. And they accused us of using a phone. I was like, no, I just know them. You can play me some more if you want, and I'll get them. And they're like, oh. We came second. Got the first prize taken away from us, which I thought was bad sportsmanship.
Why did you? If you came second, how come you had the first prize taken away?
Because they deducted points because they reckon we were cheated that round.
Oh my God.
They were like, there's no way you could have known any of those.
I
know that.
I know how your temper can go from 0 to I'm ripping your face.
Anakin
clean off.
Skywalker, younglings.
Yes.
Yeah.
No. More sand people.
Hate the sound. It gets
No. They're animals. And I slaughtered them like animals. That was you in that pub that day.
In the reading rooms, in the village reading rooms.
Oh, it happened in the
yeah,
reading rooms.
it did,
My apologies.
yeah.
Okay. All right, that was you. They're animals, and I slaughtered them
many
like
sand
animals.
people just slain.
Not just the women, but the children as well. Oh, Annie. Okay. That's where we're at. That's my...
Have you been watching Boba Fett?
The one episode.
The one episode, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that. Have you watched Hawkeye?
No. I spent New Year's Eve, after everyone else had gone to bed, watching far too many episodes of Cobra Kai than I should have done.
Can't come round New Year's, mate. Just want to have a nice quiet night, study down. 3 in the morning. Cobra Kai.
That's a quiet night in for me.
Okay, pal. We were in bed for 10.
Were you?
Yeah.
Legit?
Legit.
Oh.
As I promised you we would be.
Okay.
And seeing as me and you share a bedroom, like the guys out of Sesame, the Muppets.
I thought you were going to say Step Brothers.
Like 2 Ronnies. No, not like that. Not like that. Any other gaming-related pickups that you may have got? Because I got a gaming-related thermal cup, and I got a drinks bottle.
No, it's been pretty light on presents for me this year. Obviously, we've got little one, so most things go to him, as all good things should be. Someone very generously bought him a retro toy, which he has absolutely thoroughly enjoyed.
He's
And
not
it's
scared
still-
of it.
No, we have to have a battle because he got a modern equivalent, and they have we make like a battle arena. It's a
The
big,
shark one.
yeah, the shark and the Bigfoot.
Bigfoot owns that.
He does, but Shark has like this secret thing where if he does his rear, he backs up, he sort of gets higher to go over vehicles, but he can't do it as well as Bigfoot. But if he does that, Bigfoot tends to ram into him and kind of flip back over on himself, and then that's kind of a sneaky win. The Shark is the Ric Flair of the monster truck universe. But yeah, he just thinks that's great. We set them off at each end of the rug, and they like meet in the middle. And then depending on if Shark's in his motion of going up, then it might be all over for Bigfoot. But if not, Bigfoot just ploughed him into the Christmas tree.
It's up to you. Come the spring, Bigfoot can
Has to go proper off-roading.
not in the mud, I would say.
No,
but
yeah.
he could definitely decimate on grass, and you could
Yeah.
have some fun on the patio with him.
Yeah, that sounds
and he's
good.
tough. He's a play school toy.
Yeah, I think we can make some nice track for that.
Lord Ponsonbury bestowing gifts upon the children.
He did. He visited Christmas morn of all time.
That's that. Talking of people that visit Christmas morn, what's he been up to?
He's just been having a quiet one. He's been to the Costa del Sol for his Christmas break. he flies low key, so he ain't got to take any of the COVID
Well, surely he just drives
tests.
there. We saw him at the North Pole.
Did you?
Mm.
Excellent. I wasn't in the show, so clearly didn't listen to it.
I loved all the bits you did, George. You did a great job considering the script I served you up. Yeah, great work. Grilled on the
script was
grilled
golden.
on the content, knows nothing. Showcasing you to be that.
I leave you to insert the parts of the show. I just write the
2 bullet points. We'd like it to be like Snowman, guys made of electronics. I've run out of time.
That's very untrue and very unfair.
Maybe the listeners will let us know. Anyway, it's time for a peek at what we affectionately call Stingray's boot. What's nestled between some counterfeit nappies and a dodgy copy of Battlefriend all this week. These are new release highlights from week 3rd of January to the 9th, 2022. Listen, these are out on digital or physical, or will be by the time this podcast is in your feed, but could be region dependent. He stormed down the drive. Spring settle pop wall. I'm just looking at you now, sculpting your hair back like that. I'm wondering if you're going for a man bun.
No.
Have you ever gone down that road?
No.
Well,
I'm growing it because I can see it now. The Kenobi's going to be like the big hairstyle and beard of when the series comes out.
Oh my God. Book of Boba Fett. What do you think of it so far? Look at Ray. He's like, it's fine, Ray. We're talking about.
You've
Boba.
got one release, mate. Don't worry about it. Yeah, quite good. Seems all right. I like that they made canon of him, how he escaped and where he is. We're not going into too much detail. But...
Well, that kind of links into some of the Mandalorian episodes that we saw.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. I think strong start. It was a bit steady. Like,
it felt
not much
more
happened,
like
really.
Series 1 early episodes of Mandalorian. That's episode
but
1.
like, how much time has he been with the Sand People? Because obviously Mandalorian's set between Jedi and Ray Skywalker.
Oh God!
It's funny how we now look back at the prequels and think they're good films. I loved them because I was at an age where I could enjoy it.
I've always said Phantom Menace is one of the best prequels. Attack of the Clones is the weakest. Well,
Yeah.
no, Attack of Clones and Sith are as bad as each other.
I think Sith's way stronger than Clones. But anyway, going back to Boba Fett, I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, I like the fact that they're layering it up slowly like Mandalorian. Like in this, if you notice, there's barely any dialogue.
No, that's true.
And it's all the surrounding bits, so it's very baggage. It's not baggage heavy.
I'm a real big fan of Jon Favreau. I think he's done some really good stuff.
He's happy, isn't he?
He's just
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That's him.
He's done such a weird, eclectic mix of things. Like he's in random 2000s comedies, but he's done Disney's Jungle Book live action, which I think is really good. I think that is absolutely excellent. I wasn't so keen of the Lion King one they did. I don't think it worked as well as the Jungle Book. And he's obviously done Mandalorian. Been involved in Marvel quite heavily. And he's obviously involved in Boba Fett. So, yeah, I think he seems to get the problem is Star Wars fans are hardcore, aren't they? Like, if you upset them, they're very easily offended and upset about certain things. And we've talked about the man babies who aren't happy with certain things in certain films and all this. And yeah, it's a really difficult gig, isn't it? Taking on a Star Wars series or film.
I think they got it right with Force Awakens, but then after that they kind of took the promise and turned it into poop.
Yeah, the third one's difficult because they just, like, it undoes everything that was covered in the original trilogy. Like, Vader's redemption is just kind of like, oh, right, well, the Emperor's back now.
Hang on. Sorry, Ray.
We're yeah.
Spring Set a Wattle Woll, Deep Rock Galactic, January 4th, out on PS4 and PS5. It's, if you've got PS Plus, it's also going to be part of your January package. It's the only game we can find in the boot this week.
This is definitely my mummy. I'm fully downloading that. It is a low gigabyte size game. but it is one of the highest rated games, co-op games on Steam.
Well, the Xbox boys have had it for a while. It's Deep Rock Galactic. It's a 1 to 4 player co-op FPS featuring badass space dwarves, 100% destructible environments, procedurally generated caves, and endless hordes of alien monsters.
See, I think me, you, and James Work Experience Boy could play this. I think that'd be really enjoyable.
Is it cross-play?
I think if I look into it, do you want to give it a whirl? Looks a lot of fun, mate.
On pain, maybe.
We need to do something like that. We haven't gamed together for a long, long time. I think Streets of Rage 4 was the last thing we played together.
I mean, I could take you upstairs right now and give you an absolute lesson on No Mercy.
Nothing would please me more than for that to happen after the show.
Okay.
Legit. Well, have you got 2 controllers?
Tom, why do you say these things?
I'm excited. Let's get the show done.
Okay. Smoke settled, dust pop, whoa. The only thing to those, I mean, if this is your first show, it's very loosey-goosey, possibly. No,
it's quite a long show, considering.
My God.
We can talk.
We're pretty boring, aren't we?
We are.
Okay. Well,
if they're still stuck around now, then obviously you find something interesting. But thanks for tuning in.
Well,
Happy New Year.
Last thing before we.
We're not.
What are you hoping to play?
Obviously, for me, I'm going to be taking a break from the show, beginning probably
I'll set it on air, deal with it.
I told you.
Beginning
Beginning of February. That time is not just to play Elden Ring and Horizon Forbidden West. It's actually family related, so I'll be taking 3 to 4 weeks off.
It's a shoot work. It's a work shoot.
Yeah.
Okay. If you know wrestling, you know.
Yeah, breaking the fourth wall, as we do sometimes. But
okay, well, co-host duties, get in touch with me, someone.
Yeah, so George just needs some cover. That'd be great. If anyone's fancies...
I've never missed a show. I've had a new kid, I've had a new house, I've had everything, and never missed an episode.
Okay.
You've had 2 kids and you've had more time off than I even know what to do with.
I haven't had the second yet, but it's too much for me. Stresses me out.
I know.
We don't want another Sand People incident, do we?
I would love to see it. Because then Anakin and Obi-Wan would end up getting so charged with the Force that they fly across separate sides of the room. That's exactly what it would be like.
Yeah.
So what are you hoping to play? Forget about your self-service, about your holiday that you're pre-booking. Tell me now what you're hoping to play this gaming week. Because you finished Guardians.
Yeah, I think I might actually take you up on the Infamous title because I haven't got anything else to play. I'll definitely be hoping to play Deep...
Please play that, because I think you'll love it. If you enjoyed Spider-Man and enjoyed Ghosts...
How long is it, roughly?
Probably 12 hours.
Okay.
I'm over halfway through with it and think it's great. Obviously, I play it when I'm away, but I think it's great. I could also, to be fair, if you were on the edge before, I'd recommend that Moonlighter as well.
Yeah.
Right now it's in the sale, so you got Infamous for free, and you got that for, I think, the base game without the DLC. I kind of thought it was an extra £1 for the DLC, so I thought, why not? But to be honest, I think the base game's more than enough.
Yeah.
I think you'd enjoy it.
I'm not going to ask you what you're hoping to play because I think I've got a question. Kenna. Next week, we're going to do 2022 predictions and we're going to ask you as a fan base what you're looking forward to most, what your predictions are. They can be as wild as you like or they can be a safe on the money bet. We've got a heap of salt here to chuck on things. We love it all. So, yeah, we want your predictions for next week. We're going to go through some of ours. But just before we go, what is the one gaming-related thing for 2022, for the whole year, that you would love to see, whether it's already announced or whether it's something completely wild card? What do you want to see?
That's what we're going to ask them for next week.
No, I'm asking you now.
Oh.
Just as a little... taste through what we're going to do next week.
That's hard for me though, because
It can be anything announced. It could be PSVR 2. It could be something completely non-expected.
Though I was going to go down the PSVR 2 route.
Okay, that's what you're most excited for.
I'm most intrigued by that. With the
Okay.
controller advancements that they've made, with Sony's alleged pledge. Well, it's not alleged; it's out there. But their pledge of this is going to be something that we don't just want to see as a peripheral. We want all games to be playable in VR. I mean,
We don't do rumours, we don't do leaks, but Half-Life Alyx and Horizon VR game might be launch titles.
I think you'll find a stronger, safer bet as a launch title for that would
And
be
Astrobot.
Astrobot.
Yeah.
Astrobot is a definite.
Yeah.
That will be launching with a console. It will be free,
Yeah, I think
included with it, and it will be equal to or greater than the PS5 DualSense experience that we got, but it will be used in the same way to showcase the game and the controllers.
so. Yeah. Agreed.
I think it could be out in 2022 this year, but I feel that will be artificially frozen because of the whole I can't get a PS5 story. If they launch a peripheral equal to in price to the PS5 and people are like, you'd love the PSVR 2, but I can't even get a PS5 right now, it would be another one of those classic, oh, look at Sony tone deaf about the situation.
Yeah.
We're in a pandemic. We've got a semiconductor crisis, blah, blah, blah. I think they'll ice it and it'll be a 2023.
Yeah.
And bizarrely as well, even though it's only a quarter delay, we'll see it March 2023 instead of what would be the safe move for Sony for Christmas books would be December holiday, to use the American phrase, holiday 2022. I think it penciled in now, that's when that technically could come out, but they will ice it because of bad feeling.
What I don't understand sometimes is with like looking back at console launch, especially for the PS5 and Xbox Series X, because they were harder to get a hold of. I often think it's probably a time constraint thing, but imagine releasing the new consoles in March time. All your hardcore, all you really early adopters, people who are really into it, they're going to pick them up then. Then your big stock hopefully arrives ready in time for winter. I'm always curious why it's always tried to cram in. I guess there's people with more in the know about sales figures and all that sort of thing than me.
I would put it to you that for the most part, people have got more not income, but they're able to combine monies. So Christmas monies, grandma, granddad, blah, can you all put money towards PS5 and Xbox Series X, Xbox Series S? Sony and Microsoft and the gaming, the console creators know that around that time of year, you've got more emotional leverage to get things going on a purchase. If it was March and you were like, oh, can I have an early Christmas birthday present rolled together scenario, it would be a no.
Yeah, I'm probably thinking more of an as an adult fan is like let the hardcore get it early on, and then the stock issues won't be hopefully as bad come winter time. But then kids can be just as keen to get something as us. So,
well, not only that, but I think that I'm saying it from an adult gamer point of view as well. Like you're an early family guy, you're an early family man. You've got your family in its infancy and all that sort of stuff. You know, the PS5 was one of those lucky moments where you could combine certain elements to make it happen. But you did combine certain elements to make that happen, and only those elements would have come together at Christmas time.
yeah,
You wouldn't have got a PS5 at launch in June.
no.
So is that why? I would say
Yeah,
yes.
you're probably right. I think that's a good point.
If I do all the washing up and I do all the lawn growing and mowing and the snowing and all that, can I have the lawn clearing and all that? Can I please possibly have some money towards the PS5 today?
Doing chores like.
Can I have the 500 bucks now and work it off? It doesn't work that way. Okay.
For me, God of War, Ragnarok, or Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. Can't wait to play either of those. That's literally...
Yeah, well, they'll be out.
I think if either of the two were going to get delayed, I'd say Breath of the Wild. We've seen less of it. That God of War Ragnarok, that gameplay they showed, that looks finished. That looks ready to roll. If rumours are to believe as well, we've had a supposed rumoured release date of September the 30th, and also the game has been licensed, which usually means it is very close to release, so we might even get it. Some people are saying they'll get Horizon and Gran Turismo out of the way and probably Forspoken, and then God of War might be their big summer game like they did with Last of Us and Ghost of Tsushima. There's no rhyme or reason when people try and predict, 'cause people are like, oh, well, they'll want Gran Turismo and Horizon and stuff to get some breathing room.
To talk into some of the things that you said there, I think God of War's done. I think it's using the engine from before.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything fancy. I don't think PS5 players are going to be enamoured with the gameplay, for sure. Are they going to be enamoured with the visual upgrade? Probably not. And I think that's a problem we're going to have to deal with Horizon. I think Gran Turismo 7's probably a different story because those games tend to look great and there's less going.
Yeah.
I mean this in the nicest way. There's less going on.
Yeah.
So you can ramp the graphics up and people are probably not going to be able to complain. But God of War, I bought a PS5 to play God of War on a PS4. I mean, it's the same gripes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there'll be that whole free upgrade nonsense and blah, 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 or maybe there won't. Sony's playing some interesting games at the minute.
The problem is the PS5 exclusives.
Oh, one more thing I'm hoping to play, and I need to download it. Gunk on Xbox.
Ah, yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
intrigued.
that looks good.
Rave jumped on the Discord last night and raved about it, tongue in cheek. And I thought, yeah, so I must give that a shout out as well.
Cool. Yeah, that intrigued me when I saw it. Looks an interesting game. But yeah, just briefly going back to that before we go. The PS5 exclusive, because a lot of them are cross-platform, not cross-platform, cross-gen, they just don't... The appeal isn't going to be there for a lot of people to jump into the next gen. So, like, they'll be like... It's a bit like you talking about, oh, here's a new shiny Switch with that you can only play Breath of the Wild 2 on, looking its best. That just does feel like what they're going to push with Horizon, Gran Turismo and God of War, because they're all going to be cross-gen, but they'll push the fact that they look the best and play the best on... I was thinking over playing when I was playing Guardians, it's like the haptic triggers. What do you think now, like nearly a year on? 3D audio, I'll hold up, is awesome.
I will actually...
The haptic triggers, I'm not quite sold
When
on.
the haptic triggers are right, like Miles Morales, Spider-Man Remastered, limp.
Yeah.
Kenner, phenomenal. When you pull the bow and you hear those last bits of the bow and the string creak in and you feel it in your hand, someone who's had a great experience in archery, I feel that's when you hear the bow tighten up and then you feel it tighten up in your hands and it feels like a bow tightening up in your hands.
Yeah.
That's when Kenner actually turned me around on the DualSense in a way. Like Astrobot feels great and it's very gimmicky and you can hold a spring and it feels like you got a spring in the controller. I know that sounds crazy, but until you've used it, you just don't know. And I do find that when it's not implemented properly, it just feels like you're pulling on an empty nothing, and it gives a little whiz. It's like, I'm Spider-Man. I'm firing web fluid from shooters on my arm. It's going to feel more than my auntie stroking my wrist and wishing me a good Christmas. That's not what that should be. That should be like, and I should feel it vibrate and then shoot, and it could do it, but for some reason it doesn't. Ratchet and Clank used it to a certain degree, but probably only 10% better than Spider-Man used it.
I wonder whether it's just an immersive thing that if it wasn't there, I'd probably realise and be like, oh, maybe it's a subtle immersion.
I don't know. Like I say, I was a little bit down on it until I got the bow in Kenner, and that, for an indie company, I mean, the way they implemented that is really good.
That's what I mean. The more I played Kenner, the more I enjoyed it. Like I said, I'd still probably give it a 7 or an 8 out of 10. But actually, when you stop and think that is an indie game, it is great. And I can't wait to see what they come up with next. I think that's a really talented studio. And
It's I'm again a 2022 rumour that'll be on Games Pass before this time next year.
yeah, yet, so hopefully more people get to play it and check it out. I could probably see it being a PS Plus game of the. Well, it won't be on Games Pass, will it? Or is it exclusive for so long?
It would just be a timed exclusive. Sony don't own that company, do they?
No.
Ember Sprite.
Unless they buy it.
I can't see them doing that. It's good.
Ember Lab.
Ember Lab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Fire Sprite's the other one, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think for who they have bought. Anyway.
Let's wrap it up. Just before we go, thank you to everyone that's listened in the last calendar year. Thank you to everyone that's always listening. Thank you to everyone that gets involved in the show, has helped us in any way. Anyone that's on the Discord or not. If you're just one of those quiet people that listen, enjoy the show, and you'd like to be more voyeuristic in your enjoyment, absolutely fine by me. Nothing wrong with peeking around the curtain, is there, Tom?
No.
It's another one of your legal cases. We don't do leaks and we don't do rumours here on the Unofficial Controller podcast. That's all we have time for this week, listeners. As always, thank you for your time. We look forward to the pleasure of speaking to you again next week. Until then, happy gaming. And remember, there's nothing wrong with being... Still can't get the outro right. There's nothing wrong with being given the Unofficial Controller. It's what you do with it that counts. I'm case in point with that one. Take care, everyone, and see you soon. See you, Tom.
Cheers.